You have written so much, you have said so much, you have studied this so much. What, to you, looking at World War II, is the lessons we should take away?
Well, I suppose it's what happens when you allow these individuals to take hold of great power and great authority and make these terrible decisions. If you allow that to happen, there are consequences, and you have to recognize the moments of trouble when they arise. So when there are financial crises, you know that political unrest is going to come, and you need to be prepared for that. You need to be able to see the writing on the wall. You can't be complacent. Complacency is such a dirty word, isn't it? You've got to keep your wits in, and you can't take things for granted. You've got to recognize, I think, that the freedoms we enjoy in the West are, they're not necessarily permanent, and you need to make the most of them while you've got them and cherish them and consider what happens if the milk turns sour and what the consequences of that are. I mean, that's the overriding thing, because although I don't think there'll ever be a war on the scale of the Second World War, you've only got to look at pictures of those opening days of the war in Ukraine and see sort of knocked out Russian tanks and dead bodies, bloated bodies all over the place, put that into black and white, and, it could be the road out of Falaise in 1944. It could be, any number of German battlefields and in World War II, and the similarities and the trenches and the kind of people hiding in foxholes, and that's horribly reminiscent, as are the huge casualties that they're suffering on both sides, whether they be Russian or Ukrainian. And it's a shock. It's a shock to see that, and it reminds you of just how quickly I think things can descend. I mean, that's the other thing. That point I was making about how quickly Germany descended from this amazing nation of arts and culture and science and development and engineering into one of the Holocaust. I mean, life is fragile, and peace is fragile. And, it's, you take it for granted at your peril.
And you take for granted at our peril that nobody will use nuclear weapons ever again. And that's not a thing we should take for granted.
No, sir.
What gives you hope about the future of human civilization? We've been talking about all of this darkness in the 20th century. What's the source of light?
The source of light is that I think the vast majority of people are good people who want to live peacefully and want to live happily and are not filled with hate. And there are some brilliant minds out there. And I think the capacity for the human brain to come up with new developments and new answers to problems and challenges is infinite. And I think that's what gives me hope.
James, this is I'm a big fan. This was an honor to talk to you, and please keep putting incredible history out there. I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for talking today.
Well, thank you, Lex. It's been an utter privilege to talk to you.